Hey, my love. Welcome to your weekly forecast for the week of April 27th to May 4th, 2025. This week, we move into May, and a fairly low-key week compared to recent weeks. Really, the main highlights are Venus entering back into Aries and conjoining Neptune, and Mars leaves shadow. So as of this Friday, both Mars and Mercury are out of shadow. So things are going to feel lighter and fresher and maybe even easier moving forward. So let's get into the highlights of the week. On Wednesday at 1:16 p.m. ET, Venus enters Aries, where she'll be until June 6th. So Venus was in Aries last between February 4th to March 27th during her retrograde, and now she's direct, and we're going back over that territory. So you might look back on that time, really the bulk of March, and just consider what was happening in your Aries ruled house in your birth chart. Because now we're going to be reapproaching that area of our life and those themes and topics and actually smoothing things over now. And with Venus retrograde in Aries, one of the main themes of this retrograde was maybe holding ourselves back from what we might have really just wanted to do or explore or express because of insecurity or maybe fear of what other people might say, or some block around our sense of permission or sense of self in some way. But now that Venus is direct and back in Aries, we can just do what we've maybe been working up the courage to do, or even accept what might have been hard to accept. We can actually move forward beyond some block in our Aries ruled house. Now on Thursday, Venus will conjoin Neptune in Aries and Mars leaves shadow. So Thursday brings some really creative and maybe motivating energies. Venus and Neptune meeting up in the first degree of Aries is kind of our first opportunity to dream really big and maybe tap into a new vision, one that's not built on illusion, but one that's actually informed by all that we've experienced and learned over these last few weeks with Venus retrograde. This conjunction can be about rediscovering our dreams and visions for our future. Also, Mars leaves shadow, and so we're finally out of Mars in retrograde territory, which started December 6th, 2024, when Mars turned retrograde. So finally, our inner warrior is back on and moving forward and can finally gain some confidence after a long stretch of not having it. Now on Sunday, Pluto turns retrograde in Aquarius until October 13th. So Pluto turns retrograde once a year for about 5 months. And when it does, the themes of its transit can be internalized a little more. So Pluto in Aquarius is asking us to disassemble the status quo and reimagine what it means to be a normal, functioning human who belongs on Earth. This transit is helping us to ultimately create a more inclusive world between 2024 and 2043. So this is a very long-term transit. And this 5-month retrograde period can help us to go even deeper in our understanding of what it means for us to be the change that we want to see in the world. It can help us to understand our own personal responsibilities and the role that we play in this long-term shift that Pluto in Aquarius is going to help us all to create systemically. That is this week. So next week, really the main highlight is Mercury entering Taurus. And with that, let's pull some cards for the week of April 27th to May 4th, 2025. And see what guidance comes through from the cards for this week ahead. So the cards that we've pulled, the Four of Pentacles, the Page of Pentacles, and the Knight of Swords. And on the root of the deck, we have the Eight of Swords. So boundaries are on our mind. Budgets are on our mind. Sustainability is on our mind. The Four of Pentacles sees us in a moment of feeling perhaps a little conservative with our resources and maybe bringing even more heightened awareness to what's going out and what's coming in, and how we're moving around our daily life, making sure that things are actually working for us. Very Taurus season energy. The Page of Pentacles is all about bringing our awareness to the seeds that we are planting in our life, and thinking about what it is that we really want to invest in with our time, our energy, and attention. We are not in a moment of feeling like we want to just explore and throw spaghetti at the wall and dream big and see what happens. We're pretty focused on being intentional with our life and what we're creating and how we're moving forward. But the Knight of Swords shows us in a moment of a lot of learning and maybe rapid integration. So while we might be in a conservative moment and feeling cautious in how we're moving forward, the Knight of Swords shows that we are learning a lot and swiftly ruling out things that we don't want and what doesn't work, and getting quite quickly to the point with ourselves. The Knight of Swords kind of brings this almost whirlwind energy, very mercurial energy of asking questions, getting answers, moving from point A to point B. So what we want to do this week is take time to slow down, to pause, and to make sure that we're really being present with ourselves as we move from point A to point B, because our mind is moving quicker than our body, and maybe even quicker than makes sense at this time. Taurus season asks us to be slow and rooted into ourselves. So remember that there's no need to rush at this time. And there's no rush to fulfill the one thing that you came here to do, to fulfill the purpose that you came here to fulfill. There's one you in the world, and only you can be that. So here you are. This instance, this one moment is where you're supposed to be. So be here, make a point to be present this week, because that's where the magic happens. That's where all of your resources and all of your power lies, and that's where infinite possibilities lie. So don't miss what's present for you this week. We want to be present for what's happening, because there could be some golden opportunities. The Page of Pentacles is a messenger that brings messages that start new, abundant cycles. So be present for what comes through this week, and don't be so quick to get to the next thing that you actually miss, the thing here and now, right? Now on the root of the deck, we have the Eight of Swords, and it's all about kind of being trapped in a certain thought loop, a certain thought pattern. We can't quite get out of a limiting idea or one frame of mind, or one person said it was like this, so our mind is kind of stuck on that. So what we want to do this week is just notice when you are feeling stuck. And when you're feeling stuck, let go. breathe. Stop doing what you're doing. Don't keep doing what you're doing. The Eight of Swords is an invitation to become self-aware, to like actually root down into the body and the present. The Eight of Swords in this card, this figure is suspended. Their feet are not on the earth and they're just so in the air realm, and in a way that's not generative, it's not creative, it's limiting, and it's taking their power from them. So notice when your thoughts are just disparaging and you're feeling like defeated, because that's maybe an invitation for like new input or an outlet, maybe both. We want to break the cycle this week, break the cycle of a limiting idea that results in actions that we don't want to keep doing, that we don't want to perpetuate. Stop it this week. What stops this week? Today, on the 27th, as we start this week, we have a new moon in Taurus. So we're coming into this week on a fresh start. Mars, Mercury are out of shadow. We're moving out of that heavy stuck territory of the last 3 months. Venus just has to get out of shadow now. She's leaving shadow in a couple weeks, but we're getting there. And just make this week about remembering that you have the power to change, and sometimes the smallest little shifts, even just becoming newly self-aware, newly aware of our thoughts, and newly aware that we can actually choose to act differently. We don't need to be a slave to fear or a slave to a thought. We have power in our life, and that's what can start everything. That is what I have for you this week, my love. I hope that your week is magical and abundant and everything that you want it to be. And I will talk to you next week.